Hey, what's up? Death is inescapable. Welcome back to my channel. We've got to work this out. What's up, my Nimrods? It's Gage, coming back at you guys again with another dose of that fresh, never frozen Yu-Gi-Oh content. I am elated that you guys would spend just a couple minutes with me here today to talk about a children's card game we both mutually enjoy so fucking much. If it's your first time here, don't be afraid to take that subscribe button and just hip thrust the absolute fudge nugget out of it to stay up to date to some Yu-Gi-Oh content, man. Like, I would appreciate it. I'm sure that subscribe button would appreciate it as well. Today we are talking about something very cool that people found out actually got released early because of the new Flames of Destruction special editions. And for people that don't know what the special editions are doing now, they used to do it where they used to maybe sometimes import a card to the TCG, but now what they've been doing is they have two cards that are just getting reprints and then two cards that are actually from the other set that are commons, but they bump them up to super rares to make them look pretty. For the last special edition, we were getting a really cool early release in the form of Called by the Grave, which was actually going to shake up the YCS, which was around that same time. And now actually we're kind of in the same scenario where we're getting a card that I think is really, really cool, and it might actually shake up the meta for Nat season. That card is World Legacy's Memory. We're also getting another card, which is a Universal Adapter, I think, and I gotta be frank with you, I have no idea what the fuck that card does. Let me look it up. Oh, that card's really bad. So, no need to talk about that. Let's talk about World Legacy's Memory. World Legacy's Memory is a really dope support card for the Mekk-Knight archetype. It might not seem like it because it's labeled World Legacies, but that's just what they decided to do stylistically, so let's talk about it. World Legacy's Memory is a quick play spell card that reads: special summon one Mekk-Knight monster from your hand or deck in face-up defense position, but return it to the hand during the end phase. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except Mekk-Knight monsters. You can only activate one World Legacy's Memory per turn. A quick play spell card that can drop any Mekk-Knight from your deck. This is fucking huge. Just the effect in general of bringing out any monster from your deck is just an inherently very powerful effect that you don't see very often, because pulling from the deck, special summoning rather, is just, that's a lot to be able to do. Most of the time you'll see cards act as Stratoses, where you can just add a card from your deck to your hand because, you know, that's a safe option. That's pretty much the standard of Yu-Gi-Oh moving forward. It's been deemed a powerful enough effect, but also a fair enough effect to have in most cards and most archetypes. But special summoning a monster directly from the deck is a very touchy effect to experiment with, just because of how disastrous and how powerful this effect can be when tied to the correct card. World Legacy's Memory is a more fair use of this effect, I think, because of the card pool that you're able to pull from. That's all the Mekk-Knights, but I think you're actually even limiting yourself further when we talk about that. Let me explain that for a sec. So World Legacy's Memory can pull any Mekk-Knight from the deck, which is crazy. There's a couple Mekk-Knights that are really notable: Blue Sky, Purple Nightfall, and, you know, Yellow and Red Star. I think they're both stars or something like that. I don't know. Red Moon, Yellow Star. You get my point. There's a handful of good ones, but there's also a lot of bad ones that we're not going to even brush over just because they're not worth talking about. But actually, your card pool is even limited further, because I think there's really only one Mekk-Knight that's really good to bring out of World Legacy's Memory. That one Mekk-Knight is simply Purple Nightfall, because pulling a Purple Nightfall from your deck and then being able to wind up rabbit it out of play, search you a card, but then also bring it back during the next standby phase is very useful. That's a lot of advantage to pull off of one card. You might be asking yourself, well, Gage, if you play this, you can only special summon Mekk-Knights for the rest of the turn. Isn't that just bad? Well, yes, in theory. Really, the only reason I think that effect would hurt you is if you choose to activate this card during the main phase, which, if you genuinely have no other plays, if you're going first with Mekk-Knights, you might have trouble making plays anyways. So playing World Legacy's Memory to pull out Purple Nightfall from your deck to be able to get at least something rolling might not be a bad option, but also you just don't want to play this card on turn 1, I think. You're normally not going to be wanting to go first with Mekk-Knights anyways, but I think this card becomes very, very powerful when you use it both on your opponent's turn, but also on following turns after your opponent gets a board set up. Using it on your opponent's turn is just extremely powerful, being able to pull that Purple Nightfall out of your deck and add any Mekk-Knight to your hand for the following turn. I think you might want to surprise your opponent. If your opponent has no idea what they're playing, if they're going in blind, you might want to activate this on your opponent's end phase, so maybe they didn't didn't set up their board correctly, left some columns with enough cards in it so you could make mad advantage off of Blue Sky. Which also brings me to a point with Blue Sky, and that's that Blue Sky only gets its effect when it's special summoned from hand. It really sucks because I think World Legacy's memory would have been even better if you could just surprise your opponent and dunk a Blue Sky on them, get some advantage from there. How sick would that be? Unfortunately, that's not the case, and Blue Sky has to be special summoned from your hand, but being able to pull it from your deck with Purple Nightingale, essentially playing 6 Nightingales and also just a free way to bringing out, not even having to rely on your opponent to have any cards in their columns, very powerful. Again, great turn 1 play in that form. I just want to take a moment and point out that for the rest of the video, I'll be calling Purple Nightfall Purple Nightingale for some goddamn reason. I don't know what past Gage was thinking. I'm pretty sure he was just on some new shit like, yeah, I'm going to change the game. I'm going to change the name of this card. I know what I'm doing. I'm well aware it's Purple Nightfall. I was calling it for the first part of the video, but hey, I don't know, man. So yeah, here we are. Enjoy the rest of the video. And although this card holds a lot of value, being a quick play spell card that you can activate on your opponent's turn, it still has a lot of utility moving on to later turns in the game if you're playing, assumably, Mekk-Knight Invoked. If your opponent plays correctly around Mekk-Knight Invoked, it might be hard to keep advantage rolling in your deck, as if they shut off your ALEISTER loop in any sense, you're going to be kind of screwed out of summoning cards for a while. You're going to have to rely on your Mekk-Knights, which World Legacy's memory can do that. So maybe like if you brought out Makaba and it got outed or something, you might have a little bit of difficulty dealing in those last little points of damage or picking up some advantage to at least put you back in the game. World Legacy's memory is really neat because it gives a whole new utility to cards like Red Moon as well as Yellow Star. A lot of people either opt to play either one of either of those cards or just none of them at all, because the only really good ones are Indigo Eclipse, Blue Sky, as well as the Purple Nightingale. But I think World Legacy's memory gives a whole new meaning to those cards, because now we have a choice we can make with World Legacy memory, where if we activate memory, we can pull either Red Moon or Yellow Star from the deck, depending on what's just the scenario. If we have a certain pesky floodgate that we need to out for some reason, like our opponent activates Imperial Order, we can chain World Legacy's memory to then summon the Yellow Star to that column and pop it pretty much immediately, which is pretty cool. And in that same vein, it's really cool that we're not tied to our opponent's skill level, and that your opponent can easily play around a card like Red Moon by just summoning one card to it and hoping you don't have a spell to be able to summon the Red Moon. But now we actually have a way where we can just summon wherever we want, so we can actively just use those cards like Yellow Star and Red Moon. I just think that's something that's really valuable moving into the later turns of the game, where you might be kind of lacking in advantage or combo plays, and just summoning one guy to simply out one card might just be a really good play, or a good enough play to be able to put damage in. So we talked about the cool aspects of this card when you're going first and how you can get a Nightingale on the field to get advantage rolling. We talked about the versatility with it when you want to bring out Red Moon or Yellow Star. We talked about how it sucks you can't bring out Blue Sky. There's one more point I want to bring up with it, and that's Indigo Eclipse. Bringing out an Indigo Eclipse on your opponent's turn can actually prove to be pretty cool if you tie it in with some of the other World Legacy cards, which these World Legacy cards really haven't seen too much play. But I think there's one World Legacy card in particular that I'd like to point out that I think is extremely powerful, and when you tie it in with World Legacy's memory and being able to bring out Indigo Eclipse in particular, it can actually prove to be really cool. That's World Legacy Secret. World Legacy Secret is a continuous trap card that reads when it's activated, you can target one level 5 or higher monster in your graveyard, special summon it. When this card leaves the field, you destroy that monster. However, its continuous effect is negate any opponent's monster effect that activates in the same column as a Mekk-Knight monster you control. So just picture for a second being able to activate World Legacy's Secret on your opponent's turn, and then your opponent goes to activate a monster effect. You can flip up World Legacy memory to special summon that Indigo Eclipse to that column, thus negating that effect whatever activated, but then your opponent decides to activate another effect in a different column. Use that move man effect, ship them over a couple lanes, say, nah boy, fuck out of here. I don't know how particularly great that is, but I just think that's a really cool thing that needs pointed out and might give a use to World Legacy Secret, which I think is just a really underrated card. I know it's not the greatest right now because Move Man only gets one motion per turn at least, but now you can use effectively 2, and you can pull them out of the deck. That's just way cool. Altogether, what do I think of World Legacy Memory? I think it's a dope card. I am surprised that they chose to release this one in particular early, with Mekk-Knight Invoked kind of just laying on the outskirts of the meta. We might actually see this deck pop up a little bit more. I expect them to play this support card, just because, again, pulling a Nightingale out of the deck on your opponent's turn, fucking crazy. I think that alone makes this card super useful. And the fact that we get this as an early release before the following set, which I don't even know what the following set's called, truthfully, but I know it does drop after Nationals. The fact that we're getting this card in particular is really cool. It's not called by the grave meta changing, but I think it is a deck that might push some people, push the thought of Mekk-Knight Invoked into more people's mind. I just also think it sucks that we're not getting the new ALEISTER Link monster before Nationals, but hey, you can't have everything. I think this is cool enough to get our hands on. Let me know what you guys think of World Legacy's Memory. Do you guys think it'll shake up anything in the meta? Do you guys think it's a cool release, or do you guys think that nobody will play it and I'm just cuckoo? Love to hear what you guys think. That being said, if you guys liked the video, be sure to like the video, thumbs up the video, express that you enjoyed the video. If you did like the video, please do consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Your boy's uploading regularly. It feels really good to bring you guys that fresh, never frozen Yu-Gi-Oh content. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, definitely subscribe. I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Nim signing out. I hate myself.